Hi, and welcome to another episode of What Does Will Think? As you saw in the very beginning of the video, this video will contain some spoilers of upcoming TV shows and movies, so if you do not want to have yourself spoiled by them, if you haven't seen them, turn off the video right now. Otherwise, here we go. Today we're talking about Marvel's The Punisher, which premiered on Netflix this month. And I gotta say, I thought it was pretty good, but before we go to my final analysis, we need to go through each thing step by step. First, let's talk about the characters. Let's start with the Punisher himself, Frank Castle. Over the years, he's been played by many actors, from Dolph Lundgren to Thomas Jane in the 2004 movie, and then Ray Stevenson, and now Shane from Walking Dead. Out of all of them, I liked Thomas Jane. I'd never seen Dolph Lundgren. I saw the Ray Stevens one was okay, but underrated. But I think the one that really became the Punisher, the greatest one, was Shane from Walking Dead. He plays it great. In fact, his inspiration for his Punisher character came from Thomas Jane. Thomas Jane did a short film for the Punisher called Dirty Laundry, and he said his inspiration came from that. So Shane as the Punisher, great choice. He did awesome in Daredevil Season 2. This is his spin-off show, and I thought he did a pretty good job, so thumbs up on that. Other characters we have is David Lieberman, aka the Micro, who basically is the Punisher's sidekick in this show. I actually liked his character. He was pretty funny, and he was pretty likable, so thumbs up on that. We have his wife and kids. They're pretty good characters. In fact, a lot of the characters in the show are great. Karen Page from Daredevil's in here because she was a hostage of Frank Castle in Season 2 of Daredevil. And then now she's working with the Punisher. So I like her character still. Plus, she's pretty hot. Don't get me wrong. Then we have Agent Madani of Homeland. Pretty good character. Pretty cool. Billy Russo, one of the villains of the series. He's aka Jigsaw. I thought great acting choice, great character choice. And yeah, that's pretty good. Agent Orange, who's the other main villain of the series. Pretty diabolical, pretty good choice for a villain. Pretty good. And as far as other characters, they're all pretty good. So I would say thumbs up on the characters and everything. So character development in this series was great. Okay, now here comes the story part of the series. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you do not wish to have anything spoiled, if you haven't seen the series or anything, turn off the video right now. Are you ready? Here we go. The story begins where, after the events of Daredevil Season 2, Frank Castle basically goes after all the other people responsible for his family's death, as well as a lot of the bad guys. He already killed Colonel Schoonover, who was in Daredevil Season 2, and now he's after everybody else. He just basically killed them all. Now he burns his identity as the Punisher and stops being Frank Castle and becomes Pete Castiglione. Basically, the whole world thinks he's dead. And he lives peaceful that way for a while, but then a guy named David Lieberman, aka Micro, finds out that Frank Castle is still alive and decides to recruit him. And basically exposes Frank with the video from Kandar of what happened. Frank goes to try to find Lieberman, goes to his family's house, and Lieberman basically thinks Frank Castle's there to kill his family, but really Frank is there to get his attention, which really does. Micro basically tells Frank that he needs his help, that his mission is not done. The people who were responsible for his family's death, the people who tried to set him up in Kandar, are still around, and he has few more bodies he needs to get rid of. So they team up together to basically expose the people of Kandar. We go back to a flashback where, in the Kandar situation, where it was with a joint CIA operation to kill and destroy enemies as well as kill some hostiles. They capture a guy who they claim is a terrorist, but really he's just an innocent man who found out about their real operation, of why they were really there. The CIA was there to basically move heroin through bodies of soldiers that were killed in battle, and they basically took the bodies from the funeral home and basically stuffed them with drugs to move them across. This guy found out about it, and they had him killed. Frank didn't know that, and then all of a sudden, just to tie up loose ends, the CIA agent by the name of Agent Orange, aka William Rollins, decides to have him and his family killed. It doesn't work. Now Frank is trying to find and kill everybody involved in the Kandar situation. Meanwhile, Agent Madani of Homeland finds out about the Kandar situation from Micro, who gave her the video of what happened. Basically, she is trying to find the truth, but there are people upstairs trying to keep her from finding the truth. That doesn't stop her. She soon realizes that Frank Castle was involved with the Kandar situation, and even finds out he's alive after he saves her life from a car crash situation when she's trying to chase him down. Basically, she's trying to really see what was behind the Kandar operation. Meanwhile, in another story, Frank's friend Kurt is running a post-traumatic stress disorder meeting groups for all vets who just came back from the war, and there's one kid in there named Lewis Wilson who's going off the deep end. He still can't get over what he did in the war, and in fact, he feels like he's never home. Then finally, he snaps. He basically goes off of the rocker, and basically now just threatens to bomb the entire city to expose the government for what they did to him and everything. He also takes Karen Page, basically Frank's ally from Daredevil Season 2, as well as Daredevil's secretary, hostage. Frank saves her life, kills the Wilson kid, kills himself in the bombing, and meanwhile, we find out that Billy Russo, basically Frank's best friend who was there during the Kandar situation, is working with Agent Orange. And in fact, he was involved with Agent Orange's plans during Kandar. Frank doesn't know this at first until the very end when Billy Russo tries to kill him. Meanwhile, Agent Madani finds out that Billy Russo was involved. At first, she gets personally involved with him, if you know what I mean. At first, thinking he's not a bad guy, but then realizing he is. Now, Agent Madani teams up with Frank and Micro to expose these guys and basically put them in the ground. It all ends when Frank and Billy Russo have a showdown at the place where Frank's family went a lot, the Painted Horses at the carnival. So basically, Frank fights Billy Russo, and then instead of killing him, he basically damages his face. Basically, at the very end, Billy Russo becomes Jigsaw. Also, Frank kills Agent Rollins when they're in the torture room when Rollins is trying to get information out of him, and Frank basically kills him. After that, Micro and Frank turn the evidence over to Agent Madani. Micro goes back to his family, and Frank goes on to basically try to live a normal life as well as end the war. And that's how The Punisher ends. And that was Marvel's The Punisher. So, in conclusion, what do I think of this series? I thought it was pretty good. I mean, the violence and gore were pretty good, even though I think it'd be a little bit more gory because it's The Punisher. It doesn't have to go over the top like Deadpool or anything, but still, it's The Punisher. You'd think it would be more bloody and gory, but it kind of was in a way. It's dark. The themes were pretty good. The music's awesome, of course. It's by the same people who did the soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy. The composer is Tyler Bates, if you don't know who he is. He's done a lot of soundtracks for great movies. The characters were awesome. I really wanted this to be a season 2. And it's, thank God, they're bringing back the Punisher and Daredevil and all these guys and giving them a better makeover. It's sad that a lot of the movies don't get much praise. I mean, they really don't. I mean, I didn't watch the canon version with Dolph Lundgren. I watched the Thomas Jane one, and that's a very underrated Punisher movie. It was pretty good, but it was still PG-13 violence. But hey, it was early 2000s. Ray Stevenson did kind of give us the Punisher movie we did in Punisher Warzone, where the violence was upped. There was more gore, there was more violence, but that's all it was. It was just a gore fest movie. There was no story involved, even though we did have Jigsaw in that movie. But this one, I would have to be honestly say this is probably the best Punisher performance we've ever had. So I would recommend you check it out. So yeah. Anyway, and that's been another episode of What Does Will Think? I'll see you next time. Keep watching, and good luck.